Welcome to the Artists Studio. In this episode, we meet the jazz legend Wynton Marsalis. Musician, composer, band leader, educator and cultural advocate, Wynton is among the world's finest musicians and composers. Winner of 9 Grammy Awards, a Pulitzer Prize for Music and 25 honorary degrees, Time magazine has twice named him one of the most influential people in America. As founder of Jazz at Lincoln Center, the most important jazz institution in the world, Wynton has helped the world embrace jazz and in doing so has sold over 7 million albums worldwide. Returning after an unforgettable sold-out performance in 2010, we caught up with Wynton Marsalis at the 2017 Abu Dhabi Festival.
Thank you for joining us at the Artist Studio. To start with, please tell us about your earliest musical memories.
My earliest memories of music is going to gigs that my father played. My father's a jazz musician, played piano. And I can remember being in a club when I was 3 years old, where my father was playing with some other musicians. That might be them right there. But that's my earliest memories of listening and being around musicians.
When did you realize you wanted to play the trumpet?
You know, I didn't really want to play the trumpet because I didn't want to get the ring around my lips. And I had a trumpet. So my father was playing in a band of a trumpet player, and he gave me a trumpet. It's a great trumpet player named Al Hurt. So that if you had an instrument, that's what you played. And I think when I got to be around 12 years old, then I got serious about playing music. It was actually from listening to the music of a saxophone player, John Coltrane, that I wanted to become a good trumpet player. And I had a trumpet, so that's what I played.
You are a huge advocate of education. What's your advice for teachers in this region?
I think the best advice I have for teachers of any subject is get as close to the essence of that subject that you can get and just communicate the joy and the feeling of learning about it yourself to your students and bring that type of love and feeling to them. Because many times education is the feeling is more important than the information.
Do you believe that music brings people together, and that's what the world really needs nowadays? Can you tell us, when did you see this in action?
I mean, I've seen music for so long because I've grown up with it. I've seen generations of people come together around music. Being in New Orleans, whenever we would have a parade, it was always like that. And with our church music also, it would be the same feeling. People sing, they sing, they give praise with the music. And you know, I've seen so many different types of people congregate around music. The best example would be being from New Orleans would, of course, be a parade, because a parade touches the whole community. Whoever's on the street participates in that parade. And when I was 8 years old, I played in a band called the Fairview Baptist Church Marching Band. And we would play these parades, and there were always people of all kinds from all over who would dance to the music, and they were enamored with the music, and the whole body of people became one through the sound of the music.
One of the best moments of Abu Dhabi Festival over the 14 years is your concert in 2010 with Nasser Shamma, when you performed The Majesty of Blues. Tell us, how did this come together?
I think we were rehearsing, and I was talking to Nasser, and we just said, hey, maybe we could play this piece together. I had written a piece before that had a kind of Arabic feeling to it. I was very ignorant of Arabic music, so it wasn't accurate, but it had the feeling. And there's a piece I called The Majesty of the Blues. I was trying to get the sound. I had listened to some music, Kulthum's music, and I had heard kind of the feeling of it. So I wrote this tune that was a blues that had that. It used a kind of chord that had the sound. And he said, oh yeah, I could play on that. And then we played this piece. But this year we're playing, again, we're gonna be much more involved, and we're gonna have some actual music that we play, and I've been really looking forward to it. I have such a deep love and respect for him that I can't wait.
Tell us how a work develops. What's the journey you take with a piece until you perform it the first time on stage?
It depends. I think with pieces that you write, the first thing is the conception of the piece. It's just something you have the idea for it, and then is the form of it. You write down how you're going to contain that idea in some way that people can understand it. Then you start to write the piece, and you write the piece. You deal with the largest thing, like this is what I want the piece to be overall. Then you deal with the smallest thing, dots and dashes over notes and everything. Then you rehearse the piece. You rehearse it, you communicate to the musicians what it is, and then they communicate with you. Well, you might have thought it was that, but it should be this. Or you ask them, what do you think about this? And we all work on it and put it together, and then you perform it. And then after you perform it, it's still not right, because you notice, hey, this didn't affect the people the way I thought it was, or maybe I should change this or that. And also the musicians will have suggestions after that. And over time, pieces develop a certain character and characteristic.
Who has been your greatest influence in life and why?
My greatest influence in my life is my father. Is because he's a musician who struggled in New Orleans. He didn't become famous. He didn't make a lot of money. People didn't celebrate him up to the level of his talent. But I grew up watching him play jobs for very small numbers of people. And he always played with a lot of integrity, whether people listened or they did not listen. He was never humiliated. And he believed in what he did, and he did it with absolute integrity. So all of my life I've strived to do honor to him and his sacrifice and his belief. And that's the foundation of what I believe and what I am. So he remains my biggest influence, and I have most gratitude that I was able to be around him and see him and understand at a young age the sacrifice the sacrifice that it took for him to be who he was and make it possible for me to be who I am.
As an international musician and head of jazz at Lincoln Center, what's your vision for jazz in the 21st century?
Deeper integration of elements. My main concern for jazz in the 21st century and for us with jazz at Lincoln Center is that we can give people a potent message of jazz without it being watered down. We want to use the music to transform people's lives through engagement. It's an art form that's very much about engagement, talking with people, touching people, being a part of their lives. And we perform. We try to perform on the very highest level. We educate. We have 12 education programs for people of all ages and all types, from professional musicians to just people who may be interested in music. And we advocate for the music. So we're always talking about it and trying to spread the word about the music.
You have been mentored, and now you mentor young talents, including Joey Alexander, who have performed last year at Abu Dhabi Festival. What's the value of mentoring?
Well, that's the way that we transfer our creativity. That's the way we develop our creativity. We're given that, but for us to put it in a context and a form, education is everything. And through mentoring, you get a larger sense of what the world is. And I still look to be mentored even at this age. I don't feel that you ever get to a point where you don't need the guidance and the leadership and those who know more than you know to lead you in a more positive direction. And always, one of the most important things about mentorship is the honesty that comes with it, receiving it and also giving it. It requires a certain level of honesty. Even if you are not always accurate in what you're saying, when you're mentoring someone, it's a certain type of intimacy that teaches you how to become more honest and more direct.
The final question is asked to everyone interviewed in the Artist Studio. How do you define creativity?
Creativity is the manifestation of knowledge. And we all have it. It's a great gift that every human being has. It knows no boundaries. It's the ability to invent. It could be anything, your language, your dress, the way you write, your sense of humor, the way you shave your beard. We all possess creativity. It's a great gift that cannot be taken away. It can be misdirected, but it cannot be taken away. So it's the manifestation of knowledge.